Kitay Hashem Le'olam Chazdai V'ador V'ador Monoso. I just asked Chaim David to sing that. It is my wife's favorite niggin in the world. And it's very high up on my list as well. And a few years ago, our children, I told Chaim David before, when I got here and I saw Chaim David, I told him that a few years ago the kids got together and they wanted to give my wife a very special birthday present, to give their mother a special birthday present. So they went to record the kids singing together Mizmor L'Soda. And I was laughing. I just told Chaim David that my wife, being the Litvak that she is, she told the kids, "It's so beautiful, Kindlach, I love you, it's so beautiful, but it's not Chaim David." It's not Chaim David. It's not Chaim David. But now it is Chaim David. Chaim David and I are very, very dear old friends. And it's Chaim David is woven into the fabric of my personal life and the life of Eish Kodesh, especially those early years. And remember the concert in the gym, a hask across the street from the house and from the shul. And we've been together on this journey for so long, and to be together in Yerushalyim and to be sitting next to our dear friend from Shlomo, and to have my Einikel, my Yedid Yila over here on my other side, and so many people who I love and adore beyond anything I could say with any of the words in English or Hebrew or Yiddish or Hungarian, whatever it is, and to be Samuch Vinira to the Har Bayis. So those are the words that I'm thinking about. Ki tov Hashem Le'olam Chazdai V'ador V'ador Emunosai. And I've said so many times over in shul that by the first chasna that there was in the family, had by the mishpacha, I think it was actually by Yedidya's parents, by Meir and Binyamin, by our first chasna that we made, by Meir and Binyamin, that I've mentioned many times that my father would not stop dancing. And he wasn't young. He wasn't young, 21. They're married already, 23. He wasn't young 23 years ago. My father's already quite old. And he wasn't stopping. And my mother called me over already a few times to tell Daddy that's enough and to pull him out. And I went over and I said, Mommy said you have to stop. And my father just gave me a patch on my hand and says, leave me alone to stop. And he kept on going. I never saw him like that. And I've seen my father in every different thing, every way. I never saw him like that. His face was red, he was on fire. And he's not like, a Kumsitz guy. You understand? And finally, my mother said, you absolutely have to, I'm telling you, you have to pull Daddy out. So I went and I grabbed my father. This is by our children's house, and I pulled my father and I said, Daddy, Mommy is very upset. And he looked at me, he said, you don't understand. Tell Mommy I can't stop. Because if you would have told me back then that I was going to get married, I would have said, that's crazy, it's not possible that I'll get married. And then to tell me that I'm going to have children, and they're going to marry as their children, and that I'm going to be able to dance at their chasna. Then my father says, tell Mommy that and leave me alone. And he kept on dancing. That's the feeling that I have right now. I've been doing so much talking and so many years. And I'm sure many of you remember that my Ushi, Zal Gesundsein, said by my father's Levaya that all the tens of hundreds of thousands of words that my father has spoken over the years is just trying somehow in words to capture that world of whom my father was, of who Zaidi was. To try somehow to capture, that's all it is. I'm just having such a strong feeling of that. Being with all of you and with Yedidya here, and Chaim David and Shlomo and all my friends, and the Cher from the Shul, the Mamish Mishpacha, and all the kind things, and all the very big guzmas and exaggerations that were said over Shabbos, and all these things that like Chalila, some sort of Hespedim or something, that all were with the best and loving intention, but as I said, David said that I consider us friends. I don't have an Indian to. But I had a machshava that there's something that I did want to share with you. Again, so many words, but to share with you with this Hargosha, I wanted to share with you something that I spoke about in Shul last Rosh Hashanah. I don't think anybody's in a rush right now. I spoke to you about last Rosh Hashanah, but I dafka wanted that it should be said in Yerushalyim, and I waited since then to repeat it here in Yerushalyim. I think every single one of you, I'm sure, knows the last story of Rabbi Nachman Shlusi Aleinu. And everybody also knows that it's a huge thing to tell stories of Tzaddikim Motzei Shabbos, especially the Baal Shem HaKadosh, but especially all the Einiklech of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, which is Rabbi Nachman, was a near Einikl. And all and the story of the seven beggars, which you're not able to hear? The story of the seven beggars, which, as you know, Rabbi Nachman didn't finish. Everybody knows what happened in the story. It has in it all the secrets of creation. But the story, you know that there were these two children, a boy and a girl. And they were lost in the forest. And they were hungry and they were crying. And then suddenly a blind beggar appeared, gave them something to eat, and blessed them that you should be like me. And then the deaf one, and so on, the crooked neck, until all the seven beggars came. And each one helped the children and gave a bracha to the children that you should be like me. And as you remember, the story goes, the children were driving around and they were befriended in the villages by other beggars. Though finally the idea came that why don't we marry? They're already of marriageable age. Why don't we make a shidduch? The little boy and the little girl have grown up together in the forest in Gullus. And a shidduch was made. Rabbi Nachman describes how there was a pit that was dug in the ground, and they threw on some schach clearly connected to sukkahs, because we're talking about the Yushpizin, right? The seven beggars are the Yushpizin. And that's why I asked him after I'm done saying this, that Chaim Dov is going to play the niggin of the Yushpizin. And you remember what happened, that it was the chasana. and Sheverbachas, and the children were filled with gaguim. They were filled with a longing for their old friends, the beggars. And suddenly, the blind beggar, the first beggar, appears. And reveals that you think that I'm blind. I really see more than anybody in the world. And each one, the blind beggar, each one gives a gift of the story of who he is, his story. Until the seventh beggar, David Malka Meshicha. And we're waiting for Mashiach himself to finish that story. But last year, Erev Rosh Hashanah, I think I might have discussed this. I don't remember. There was something that I saw that I shared with the Chaver in Shul, so forgive me, but I wanted to do it here in Yerushalyim. It'll take maybe 10 minutes. There's a Talmud Chacham in Petach Tikva, who I've read some things from in the past, Rav Ayal Vered, Zol Gezon Zayin. I've never had the chance to meet him. I don't know him personally. But I look forward to meeting him one day. And this was sent to me Erev Rosh Hashanah, Tavshin Pei Hey. Now we still haven't recovered from what happened Shemini Atzeres. And I, like all of you, was searching everywhere to get some chizuk, some nechama, and it was very, very hard for me because people expect me to give them chizuk, and I myself was so completely devastated by what happened. And some of us were together that Shemini Atzeres, and you remember that Simchas Torah, the Neilas HaChag, some of you might remember, when the news was coming in. And I couldn't talk. And we were all terrified and crying. And I really must thank this Rav Ayal personally. Are you familiar with this? We spoke about it. I remember. I could say that he was Mechayim Mason by me, and I'm sure there were other people. Because now, Shlomo, we did talk about this. You read it to your Chaver, to the Tzibur? It's called Ma'aseh Meshiva Kambatzim. A kambatz is like a ktzin, like a, how do you say, of an operation, a commander of an operation, a commander. It's called a kambatz, like the word combat. So this is called Ma'aseh Meshiva Kambatzim. Ona v'omar, Asapel lechem eicha yusmeichem. So, of course, borrowing from Rabbi Nachman, paraphrasing, I will tell you how Jews used to rejoice. Asapel lechem eicha yusmeichem. Shabam achas hayetinok v'tinokes shoyeboim el hamelech b'Rosh Hashanah. There's a little boy and a little girl who came to the king on Rosh Hashanah. But they didn't know how would they actually dare to come. How would they dare to come before the king? Like Esther Malka said, Eicha vel HaMelech. All the, I've told you many times over the years that all the Uvechein Tzadikim, Uvechein Tein Pachta, all the Uvecheins of Rosh Hashanah Kippur are that Pachad of Uvechein Ovel HaMelech Shaloi Kedas, that none of us feel worthy of coming to the king. So the boy and the girl were afraid to approach the king. Because they were in the deepest part of the forest? Raise your hand if you ever felt that you were in the deep part of a forest. Okay. If there's anyone that hasn't, you're a liar. ומזה הזמן הלכו לאיבוד. וצעקו ובכו כי הריהם נחטפו. They were crying and screaming out because their parents had been kidnapped. Their parents were taken away. And these children were by themselves in the forest. And while they were crying over their parents and their loneliness, being stuck in the forest, suddenly there appeared the blind combats, the blind commander, the blind soldier, the blind warrior. And he said, I've come to give you a gift. I want you to know you can come to the king. You think that I'm blind. I'm not blind. Ki einai histanvru mibarak RPG. You think that I can't see. My eyes have been physically blinded by the RPG, by the explosion of the RPG. Shesarafos, and that burned my eyes. But there's all Hashem wants, Chevra. But ever since I lost my physical eyesight, all I can look at the schusim, all I can see is how good Jews are. Because I no longer see the world the same way. I no longer look at the world on the outside because I'm physically blind. But I see more than you do. Because now I'm able to see the schusim of Jews, how good Jews are. And I don't get stuck in all the silliness on the outside, how this one looks and how that one goes. Ever since my eyes were blown out of my head, I can't see anything wrong with Jews anymore. That's the real way to see. And I'm giving you this as a gift. That you should be blind like me. That you too should only see the schusim of how good Jews are. To see how good Jews are. Even the ones that are standing and screaming in the top of their lungs in the Knesset about this and about that, and the ones who are hacking about money and about Bibi and about whatever it is. You don't think that when you cut through all of that, you don't think when you're able to see like the Weinberger, you don't think that they also want only what's good for Jews? They also want only what's good for Jews. So I give you this gift. And the Olam, all the beggars were very, very happy. They were happy and they were crying together. Like Joey was saying before the Maaseh with this pinker. And while they were crying and they were mizgagim ma'od, they were still filled with longing. Maybe somehow the other beggars will also come to the Sheva Brachas, or come to this to be mechazik the children. Uvasi aleichem, who comes? Hine bo hakambat zacheresh. The combats, the commander, the soldier who's deaf came. Shamati sheyisim izgagim elai, and he said, I heard that you missed me, that you wanted me, that you're longing for me. Uvasi aleichem, and they came. V'nofel aleichem v'noshak oisam, and he fell upon them, the blind beggar, and he was kissing them, the boy and the girl. That means every Jew. V'amar lahem, and he said, Atani noisen lechem matana shetiyu kamayni. I'm now giving you a gift that you should be like me. I'm not really deaf at all. My ears were blown out by the noise of the explosion when there was a bomb by my house. And ever since I was no longer able to hear Lashon Hara and Vechilas and lying, I was no longer able to hear the angry, terrible noises of the world. You know what I hear? Rak Nigunei Pella. I only hear the most wondrous songs. Nigunei Pella. Ve'eni shomea milim ra'os klal. I don't hear anymore any bad words. This is what Hashem wanted from the Milchama. Because all of us are the children in the forest who are lost. So I, the deaf beggar, I'm giving this to you as a gift. That from now on, you can only hear good about Jews. From the Heichel HaSchus, the Heichel HaNegina, Reish Pei Beis. Not RPG. Reish Pei Beis Azamra. You're only going to hear Negunim. When you meet a Jew, you're going to see his chusim. You're going to hear how good he is. You're going to hear the nigun of his neshama playing. And they were misgagim. They were longing for another one of the commanders to come to be mechaya them. V'nei bo aleim kambat shlishi. The third one came. The chiba gaisam and nisha gaisam, and he was kissing them and hugging them. And he fell upon the benafalaim. Ve'ein lo yadayim. He doesn't have any hands. This is the beggar, the commander without hands. It's a pella. How is it possible to hug somebody without hands? That you should be what? You should be given kaman. You should be people who have such a thing, limbs that are missing. Amputees like me. I'm not at all without hands. My physical hands, what happened to them? My hands were cut off. When I was holding on to the door of the mamad, of the safe room for 10 hours, trying to save the life of my wife and my children, I was holding on to the door of the mamad for 10 hours. So that the enemy shouldn't come in. And I'm giving you this gift. Be strong Jews. Don't allow any ayin ra, any evil way of looking at things. Don't allow any enemy to pollute, to enter into your soul, to infiltrate, to break through that fence and get into the neshama of who you are, and to defile and to destroy. And they cried and they rejoiced. And now the children felt encouraged that with these gifts we could come before the king in Rosh Hashanah, with these gifts of trying to be better, with trying to bring these gifts into our lives that we were given by these kambatzim. Maybe now we're ready to face HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Melech Malchem Lachim, Yamama. We're able to face HaKadosh Baruch Hu now. The hunchback came. And he said, I'm giving you a gift. Come on, you should be like me. I'm not a hunchback at all. My back is bent over from all the stuff that I was carrying as a soldier, all the days of the war. I'm carrying all of this stuff for months and months and months. I'm schlepping this stuff. Bedrom, Bedorm, Betzofen, in the south, in the north. I have now the most powerful shoulders in the world. My little shoulders can carry not only my own family, can carry other Jews, can carry everybody in shul, everybody in my community. And I give you this bracha, that you should have strong shoulders. Like the Maisa told him, Gershon Henich from Radzin, when he gave a push to that Jew's wagon to help him out of the mud, of the dirt. You should have strong shoulders. That you should have the strong shoulders to carry all of the difficulties that Am Yisrael is going through these last days before Mashiach comes. You should have strong shoulders. On the sixth day, the combats came with the crooked neck. And so on, they were kissing and hugging each other. How could it be that they fell on his neck? His neck was crooked. He said to them, you think that my neck is crooked? The reason that I'm bent over like this with my neck is because I was in a tunnel for months and months and months. I was in a tunnel for 2 years in a tunnel. And in such a place, it's not possible to lift your head up. I was in this terrible dark tunnel, bent over. And I'm giving this to you as a gift. I'm giving you a gift to be able to bend your heads to other people. Meaning to be a person who's humble. A person who's able to admit that you're wrong. A person who's able to acknowledge someone else. A person who's able to let somebody else into your life and bend your head over a little bit. To be gentle, to be soft and flexible. The Chazal say that lashon. You think that my neck is bent? Yeah, my physical neck, I'm bent over now because of all the months that I was in the tunnel. But my neck is the straightest and strongest of all. So the war gave us these gifts. And there was a time the Jews stopped fighting with each other because they received the gift of what? Of the blind beggar, of the deaf beggar. They received the gift of the hunchback of the crooked neck. They received all of the gifts of the beggars. So now they were ready to come to the king. Now we could appease the king. Look at your children. You remember the other day we were in Marasam Achpelah, on Thursday night we were in Marasam Achpelah. And I told you the Maisa with the Talmud Baal Shem HaKadosh. You remember? A Maisa with the Talmud Baal Shem. And the Talmud Baal Shem didn't know that it was Avram Avinu who was meeting, right? The Baal Shem told him before he went, make sure to be careful to answer. Remember, honestly and sincerely, you'll be asked a question. You have to answer the right way. And he didn't know that when he was shipwrecked, that Jew that he spent Shabbos was with Avram Avinu. And Avram Avinu asked him of each meal by the night and by the day and by Shalosh Yidis. Avram Avinu asked him, how is it by the children of Abraham? And he didn't know. He thought it was some strange, maybe a beggar. And he didn't know who it was. And he didn't say the truth. He just said they're managing. I'm just repeating the story I told in Marsa Machpelah. And then he came back, finally he was in Eretz Yisrael, and he went all kinds of places, tzaddikim, yeshivas, and all kinds of good places. And he came back to the Baal Shem HaKadosh, and the Baal Shem HaKadosh asked him, no, did you meet somebody? He said, did you meet somebody that asked you questions? He said, and he remembered, yes, I met this strange Jew over there someplace in a forest, on a mountain somewhere in a deserted island, the only Jew. And what did he ask you? He asked, how are the children of Avram doing? And what did you say? I said, I didn't want to get into the whole thing. I just said, no, they're managing. And the Baal Shem Tov was crying. And the Baal Shem Tov told him it was Avram Avinu. Why didn't you tell him the truth? The truth is that Jews are blind. Jews are deaf. There are Jews filling the rehab centers all around us. A mile away from Avram Avinu, from the Mars Machpelah, there are hospitals. There are Jews 10 feet away. There are enemies still sitting in their mosques. And you didn't tell the truth. You didn't answer honestly. So finally, through the Milchama, we have what to go to the king. We have to show the king, look at us. We're bent over. We're hunchbacked. We're blind. We're deaf. We're missing our hands. But finally, we're here. We're your children, the children of Avram Avinu. And we've learned how to listen to each other. We learned how to see each other. We've learned how to bend over to each other. We've learned how to carry each other. We're not going to do that again, what happened in the past. We're not going to fight anymore. We're going to give you nachas. Take us out of the forest. Bring us home. So they already had to come to the king. Finally we have chaymer, we have material which we can appease the king and say to Rebbeinu Shalom, we're coming back to Yerushalyim because look at us. Look at the sacrifices we've made. Look at all of those Ammonis. Look at the Yisraelim. Look at Am Yisrael. We've never been more beautiful, bent over, broken, missing arms, missing legs. The best business now in Eretz Yisrael is if you sell prosthetics. You know what that is? Artificial limbs. It's the biggest business in Eretz Yisrael, if you're in that business. So look at us, Rebbeinu Shalom. Sheyitzratza lahem, lo yitzia min hayar hazeh. That finally, we have what to come out from the forest. V'yodu gam shan kambatz ha'achrein b'siprahu hayibli raglayim. So now it's time for the final beggar. And the longing for the final beggar, the kambatz, the commander without feet. V'olav amru. And of course, Rabbi Nachman didn't tell over the Maisa. So he says, Gemar HaMaisa, Hainama Shahaya B'yom HaShvi. The end of the story, Shabbos. The end of the story, David HaMelech, Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Hainu Inyan HaBetla, the beggar, Shahaya B'lo Raglayim, the one without feet. Lo Zachinu L'Shama. We haven't been zoicha yet to hear. He said it's not time. He can't tell the story. The story should be told already. But something's wrong, and he's not able yet to tell the story. V'yodu, and everybody knew that this seventh beggar who they're waiting for, Shehu HaMashiach. The seventh beggar is Mashiach, is David Malka Mashiach. This was the tefillah that we had every Rosh Hashanah last year, and I've been thinking about this all the time since then. Now, how did he come in? Al Kisei Galgalim, he came in a wheelchair. Beli Raglayim, without feet. V'aman, he said, Ata Basi, I'm here. I have now come. So, Chevra, some years ago, I told you a Torah from Reb Shlomo Lebaba V'Schuska Lebaba Rebbe I was lucky to see many times. And after the Melchama, the Rebbe came out with Nisim and the flows. He himself was mamish, a warrior. By the Melchama, the stories that we have. And the Torah was on Chayesar. I'm not going to say about the whole Chayesar, the part. But in that Torah, the Baba Rebbe said, Uba Shalai Habayis V'Higla Kayin, that there was a Jew in the time of the Torah, back then, the Parashiyas, Atazrim, etc. And the Torah says that there was a Jew who had a house that was infected. Uba Shalai Habayis V'Higla Kayin, Kenega, he says, Kenega nearly Babayis. Kin nega nearly babayis. He's not allowed to say nega. He has to show it, of course, has to be shown to the kohen. Then it has to be from the mouth of the kohen. He's not allowed to say only kin nega. So the Baba Rebbe said, could you imagine? This could be the Vilna Gaon. It could be his house. Or it could be Rabbi Yoshev, or Moshe Feinstein, it could be the Chasab Sofer. It could be Rabbi Avad Yosef's house. But all he's allowed to say is kin nega nearly babayis. Kinega. It seems to me, it looks like my life is ruined. It looks like my children are infected with filth. It looks like my wife can't stand me. It looks like my kids are off the derech. It looks like my panos is verfallen. It looks like there's no hope to get out of the forest. All you're allowed to say is kinega nearly. And the Rebbe says over there, the Torah tells us, "V'nasati nega tzeras b'beis eretz achuzaschem," and the lashon there is strange. As Rashi points out, it sounds like Hashem is giving you a bracha. You're going to come to Eretz Yisrael, and you're going to come to these houses, and you're going to find all kinds of disgusting, crazy diseases in your houses. And Rashi brings down that this was a besora hilachem. What's the besora? What's the good news? Because hidden in the walls, the enemies ran away, and they hid in those walls. They hid all kinds of matmonias, treasures of gold and silver. And the Baruch Shalom gave this Inyan that you have to break through the walls of the Bayis Hamanuk. You have to break through in order to have the whole process of Tahara. And they're going to find treasures of gold and silver. So think of the Baba Rebbe saying this after he lost everything after the Melchama. That the Baba Rebbe was able to say such a thing, that Rabbi Shalom, we believe in you after all that I've been through and everything that I've lost. I and all of those who were together with me. Ma'aminim b'emunah shleima. That what we saw these years of the war, with all of our loved ones being killed and being thrown into the ovens, we believe with all of that it was kenega nearly babayis. Kenega nearly. Even though, like with the beggars, you think kenega nearly babayis. But Vahaya, the Torah says that the time is going to come when we're going to return to Beis Eretz Achuzaseinu, to our land. We're going to come back to Eretz Yisrael. And it's a simcha that what's going to happen, that somehow from all these horrible things that we've been through, these years, these past 2 years, and going back to those years of the Baba Rebbe, what he went through, and all of the years before, and all of the Jews have been through in Golas, that somehow we're going to dig, and we're going to be able to come to those matmonias of Zav and Kesef, And that's what the story of the seven beggars is about. The treasures that we have to dig for, the treasures of the gifts, to find the gifts that were given to the children in the forest, that were given to the children of the Milchama. Those are the gifts. So now the end of the story, to tell Avram Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu and Yaakov Avinu, to tell our mothers, we were to be by our mothers, and by Rachel Imenu, who's not buried there, but on the way by Derech Ephras over there, Ephrasa, on our way to Ephrat. To tell our mothers and fathers, when you look at us on the outside, we're not doing well. And we have all of these problems, these infections, these deficiencies, these handicaps in our lives. But Rabban Shalom, Avram Avinu, Sarimenu, we're digging deep. And we believe that everything that happened is Kenega. And that you're bringing us back to Eretz Yisrael. And there's a Ruach HaCheres. There's a new Ruach, the Ruach HaCheres I spoke about in Chevron. There's the Ruach of Kalev ben Yefuna. There's the new Ruach that we see in Am Yisrael. And Am Yisrael is digging to find those hidden treasures of who we are. That Reb David was talking about by Shalosh Shitas. The bracha that I want to give here, and please be, and I know I've talked so much, I'm so sorry. I want to be quiet for like the next 10 years. If you let me be, I will be. Okay. We could have it written, I could write a proposal, I'll write a proposal. I have a guy that knows how to write proposals. But it's, and therefore I'm so sorry that I kept you away from home, and the others who are at Celtic Eden here that are away. But I don't know what to do, because this is a fire that's burning inside of me. I don't know what to do. And all I can do is that we have our little Pinah Ktana, like I spoke about, we have a little corner, Eish Kodesh and Shivas David. We have our little places that Hashem gave us, and our little places, and our little corners of the world to try to dig, like David said so beautifully. But I believe B'emunah Shleima, even though on the outside it looks like we're so far away, that we're going to strike gold. We're in that place where the story is going to end. It doesn't look like it. But none of these, that's the whole story of the seven beggars. Nothing looks like it. But there's something happening deep inside of us. It's happening deep inside even of the people you're most annoyed with. Whether you're most annoyed with some guy from the left, I'm not talking about non-Jews. I'm talking about from our brothers and sisters. Somebody's all the way from the left, or for some guy that's all the way on the right that's saying irresponsible, crazy things all the way on the right. And everything, and every nonsense in the middle that upsets you. We feel that we're about to strike gold. And therefore, every one of us now, we have to learn how to hold a shovel. And to teach our children to dig. Lachpor v'lachpor v'lachpor. And we should be Zaychem Mitzvah, that all of us should be alive and healthy and well. And I believe B'emunah Shleim, you know, when I was a kid, there was a magazine we used to read. I'm sorry, it seems like I always have to bring some tumah into the Kedusha. But you know, it's funny, because people remember that. But when I was a kid, there was a magazine we used to all read. It was called Mad Magazine. Any of you know about that? Yeah. I mean, Steve, you don't know. Yeah, it was all Jews. There was Alfred E. Newman was there. Okay, so there was a cartoon that it was gewaldig. If there is some collection of the best of Mad, I'm asking one of you to get it for me, but don't tell anybody you got it for me. It's between, as we say in Mamalosh and Sivish and Uns, Beinenu. I already have, one of the guys already gave me a Far Side collection. I have it already. Zayeshli. That's also good, but Mad Magazine is out. So there's this one cartoon. You know, if you know the characters, if you just laugh before they say anything. So there's one cartoon that they're standing on a corner. Not on a corner. There's like people in wheelchairs and people with what's it called? You know, holding crutches. All kinds of machinic and nebuchadnezzar people. The 7 beggars are on a street corner. That's in the cartoon, and they're all like tzibach and like all sad and upset. You know, they're all broken beggars. They're on the street corner. And then what happens? That's the first thing. The first frame. Then it moves to the next frame, and the sign across the street changes from "Don't walk" to "Walk." And then and they all throw away their crutches, and they all get up from the wheelchair, and they throw the wheelchairs off, and they all start to walk across the street. They were just waiting for the walk sign. The walk sign is on. We're not allowed to be any more small people. Someone tells you you're not allowed to learn Pnimius HaTorah, you're not allowed to learn Zohar Kodesh, you're not allowed to learn Rabbi Nachman, you're not allowed to learn Tanya. They're still looking at the don't walk sign. They're still holding the crutches. We're done with the crutches. We're done with the wheelchairs. It's time to welcome the 7th beggar. And the Besura Toiva of the 7th beggar is walk. And not just walk. Life. Run. Life, good to life. You know the story I'm talking about? Another time. Run. To run. The time has come to run. Hashem should help us. That we should see that sign. We should see that light. In the brightest, most powerful way, we should see that light. We should see the light that says, walk, run, come back to me. All I've been waiting for is the 7 beggars and the gifts. Open them up, dig deep, come back to me. I don't want you to suffer anymore. But the tikkunim have to be made. And everything is rushing now. Everything's in a hurry. It should be barachim, and we should be zayich Mr. Hashem, ke'ayin be'ayin yiru b'shuv Hashem tzion, with the gula Hashem amitis, and hebi amen, amen, amen. You know the Meister?
Crack the windows? Yeah, let's open the windows, guys.
Like that. I spoke so long. It's okay, my wife's not here. She would give me a Mishnah Baruch. If she asked you how long I spoke, tell her it was 20.
How much have you lost my spoil from that piece last year?
I can't get over.
I'll bring him to you. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, I'll go to him. But I have the paper I keep next to my bed. I look at it 2 or 3 times a week. Okay, Rabbi Sai, this is the song of the 7 beggars. Just a little bit longer. Odmat, the song of the 7 beggars. This is Chaim David's Niggin.
So as we stand in stillness at the pinnacle of I am praying wisdom of the secret hidden light. It's stored away for the righteous soul that's in the time to come. The goodness of His beauty, and I'm tasting eternity. Of His beauty, and I'm tasting eternity.
Please, Rabbi Sai.
On the journey that our fathers and others walked before us. As we go on the journey, such of the ancient wisdom, ways of pleasantness. And all the past peace, Dachel Dachena, B'chol Nesiva Shalom. Dachel Dachena, B'chol Nesiva בין הים, בכל נסיבה זה השלום.